need a PlayStation 3 for $70.
I saw him for $100.
That is ridiculous. All I got is 70. I want somebody else to talk to around here.
When Hardcore Pawn first aired on truTV in 2010, viewers were instantly captivated by the raw chaos happening daily at American Jewelry and Loan on Detroit's notorious 8 Mile Road. The Gold family, led by third-generation pawnbroker Les Gold, along with his children Seth and Ashley, found themselves at the center of a storm they couldn't always control. What really happened during the show's most violent episodes, and which confrontations crossed the line? Join us as we look back at the most shocking, dangerous moments in hardcore pawn history. The MMA fighter attack on Byron. Security guard Byron became a well-known figure on the show after he took over as the head of security from Joe in Season 7. He was a big guy, and his presence helped to keep troublemakers under control most of the time. However, in Season 8, during an episode called $1 Million Deal, Byron faced a customer who was very stubborn and would not give in. This customer was very upset because things were not going the way he wanted, and he was not afraid to show his anger. Byron had to step in and handle the situation carefully to make sure everyone around was safe. This moment showed that even though Byron was a strong security guard, he still had to deal with real dangers from customers who could become violent. The situation started when a very upset customer, who said he had training in mixed martial arts, got more and more angry because a transaction did not go through as he expected. His anger grew quickly, and before anyone had a chance to step in and stop him, he swung his fist at Byron right in the middle of the busy showroom filled with people. Byron's training kicked in immediately as he defended himself while trying to minimize danger to nearby customers. The incident showed that even the most capable security personnel faced genuine physical threats regularly. The MMA fighter was eventually removed, but the message was clear. Violence at the pawn shop was a regular occurrence, but as dangerous as customer attacks on security could be, they paled in comparison to the violence that erupted when family members turned on each other. Ashley's roulette table breakdown. Throughout the series, viewers had grown accustomed to seeing siblings Ashley and Seth argue over business decisions and pricing strategies. Their sibling rivalry provided much of the show's dramatic tension. But in Season 5's Ashley's Breakdown episode, their constant bickering reached a terrifying height that shocked even longtime fans. What started as a routine disagreement over Ashley purchasing a roulette table without Seth's approval quickly spiraled into what the show itself described as the worst fight in the family's history. Seth exploded with rage when he discovered that Ashley had spent significant store money on what he considered a completely worthless item. His anger wasn't just about the money, but about what he saw as Ashley's pattern of making poor decisions. Ashley, already defensive about constantly having her judgment questioned by her younger brother, refused to back down or admit any mistake. The verbal confrontation escalated with shocking speed as years of accumulated resentment and genuine hatred poured out of both siblings. The violence wasn't physical in the traditional sense, but the emotional brutality on display was perhaps even more disturbing. Ashley was reduced to tears multiple times as Seth attacked not just her business acumen, but also her worth as a person and family member. He questioned whether she even belonged in the family business. Ashley responded by attacking Seth's manhood, his marriage, and his relationship with their father with equal viciousness. The effects of what happened lingered in the store for many weeks, making it a really uncomfortable place to work. Employees had to be careful when dealing with two bosses who couldn't even stand to look at one another. This situation showed that sometimes the worst kinds of violence don't come from hitting or using weapons. Instead, it can come from hurtful words that leave deep emotional scars that take a long time to heal. While Ashley and Seth's relationship eventually recovered to some degree, another episode would prove that violence inside the store wasn't limited to verbal warfare. The employee who turned violent. The episode titled Trouble Inside from Season 8 started just like any other day at American Jewelry and Loan. Customers were coming in and out, excited to look at the items for sale, while the Gold family was busy running their business. Everything seemed normal and safe, and everyone was doing their jobs. However, that feeling of safety quickly disappeared when one of the employees suddenly acted in a way that was shocking and violent. This unexpected behavior surprised everyone and changed the atmosphere in the store completely. The name of the employee who became violent and the exact reasons for their outburst are still not completely clear. What we do know is that the violence happened very suddenly and without any warning at all. This situation was different from arguments with strangers who just walked into the store. This was someone the family had trusted and worked with every single day. Because of this betrayal of trust, the violence was especially hard for everyone involved. It was particularly tough for Les, who always believed he was good at understanding people's true character. This shocking event left everyone feeling confused and hurt, as they never expected someone they knew well to act in such a violent way. Ashley was particularly shaken by what happened, as she had been directly involved in the confrontation and found herself in genuine physical danger from someone she had considered a friend. Security guards who had been trained to watch customers now found themselves watching their own coworkers with suspicion. But as terrifying as internal violence proved to be, the show would soon feature an incident that threatened to destroy the entire business in one catastrophic moment. The parking lot firebomb. In Season 4, there was an episode called Firebomb that surprised even the security team, who had seen a lot of crazy things before. One day, a car caught fire in the parking lot. It happened so quickly and with such strong flames that at first, the employees thought someone had actually set off a bomb outside the building. The fire blazed up high into the sky, and it was so fierce that it looked like it might hit the power lines that provided electricity to the whole place. The situation escalated from bad to catastrophic when someone realized that a person might still be trapped inside the burning vehicle. The car belonged to a firefighter, adding a layer of terrible irony to the disaster. Security personnel faced an impossible decision: risk their own lives by approaching a car that could explode at any moment, or maintain a safe distance and potentially let someone die. Les decided to evacuate the whole store, even though it would cost a lot of money. The fire was so hot that it was actually melting the asphalt on the ground. There was a real danger that the gas tank could explode at any moment, which made everyone very scared. Emergency responders got there in just a few minutes, but to the people watching, those minutes felt like they lasted forever. Everyone felt helpless as they watched the situation unfold, worried about what might happen next. Fortunately, when the firefighters were able to put out the fire, they found that no one was inside the burning car. This was a huge relief, but the whole situation still made everyone feel very scared and worried. The fire in the parking lot showed that not all the problems at American Jewelry and Loan came from people acting violently. Sometimes, unexpected disasters like this fire could happen out of nowhere and cause a lot of fear and chaos. Yet, as dangerous as fires and random disasters could be, some of the show's most violent moments came from calculated acts of malice. Joe's theft and arrest. For 6 seasons, Joel "Big Joe" Shannon served as the head of security at American Jewelry and Loan, and he was beloved by viewers for his no-nonsense approach. Joe appeared in countless episodes where his imposing physical presence alone was enough to make troublemakers think twice. But during the Season 6 finale, viewers discovered that Joe had been perpetrating his own form of violence, systematic theft that had been going on for months. The revelation came when Les and his team reviewed security footage and noticed suspicious activity around Jeff, the jewelry technician's desk. The footage clearly showed Joe stealing scrap gold on multiple occasions. The betrayal cut particularly deep, because Joe wasn't just any employee, but someone the family had entrusted with the safety of their entire operation. The decision to call the police and have Joe arrested on camera was devastating for everyone involved. The arrest played out on television in excruciating detail as Detroit police officers arrived and took Joe into custody while he protested his innocence despite the overwhelming video evidence. Staff members who had worked alongside Joe for years watched in disbelief as he was led away in handcuffs. The harm that Joe caused was not through hitting or hurting anyone physically, but instead it was through stealing money and playing with people's feelings. He took away not just the family's money, but also their trust in him. This family learned a very tough lesson. Harm can happen in different ways, and sometimes the people you think you can trust the most are the ones who can hurt you the most deeply. But while Joe's theft was a betrayal of trust, another employee would take betrayal to even more disturbing levels. Tresa's jewelry counter theft. Ashley's decision to hire Tresa as a jewelry counter employee seemed like a good move initially, but during Season 4, security discovered that Tresa had been taking items from storage and listing them for sale online, pocketing the proceeds while the store lost merchandise and potential profit. The theft scheme showed premeditation and planning rather than opportunistic impulse. The confrontation between Ashley and Tresa when the theft was discovered became one of the show's most intense moments, with both women screaming at each other while security tried to separate them before things turned physical. Ashley felt personally betrayed because she had vouched for Tresa and fought against Seth's skepticism about the new hire. Tresa's response to being caught was aggressive rather than remorseful, and the verbal altercation escalated to the point where security had to physically intervene. The confrontation revealed something disturbing. The presence of television cameras seemed to embolden people to behave in ways they might not have otherwise. Tresa appeared to play to the cameras during the argument, performing her outrage for an audience. Ashley later admitted that Tresa's betrayal had made her more skeptical and less trusting of new employees, hardening her approach to management. Yet another employee would prove that theft was just one form of violence that could be perpetrated from within. Christina's fake pawn scheme. Window clerk Christina had worked at American Jewelry and Loan long enough to understand exactly how the pawn system operated, including its vulnerabilities. During Season 8, Les discovered that Christina had been running a fraud scheme where she pawned fake items under her own name and collected cash for merchandise that had no value. The scheme required knowledge of procedures, access to the computer system, and a willingness to steal directly from the family. The investigation revealed that Christina had successfully executed the scheme multiple times before being caught. Each fraudulent transaction had robbed the store of money while flooding inventory with worthless items. When Les confronted Christina with the evidence, she initially denied everything before eventually admitting guilt when faced with irrefutable proof. Les was very angry, but it was a calm kind of anger. Instead of yelling and being crazy, he spoke to Christina in a calm way about how she had disappointed him, which made it even scarier than if he had shouted. Christina was caught on camera, just like Joe was before her. This was a big warning to everyone. No one was safe from being suspected, and every bad thing they did would have consequences. But while internal theft represented one form of workplace violence, some of the show's most dangerous moments came from customers who saw the pawn shop as an easy target. The gold chain mix-up meltdown. The Moving Targets episode showed a scary moment when a customer got really angry at the pawn shop in Detroit. It all started with a small mistake about a gold chain. The customer came in thinking he could get his chain back, but he found out there was a problem with the paperwork. Instead of listening to the explanation, he got really mad and started making threats and acting aggressively. The situation deteriorated rapidly as the customer refused to leave and began moving toward the counter in a threatening manner. His anger was fueled by a deeper sense that he was being disrespected. The volume of his voice increased until he was screaming obscenities at staff members. Other customers began backing away from the confrontation, recognizing that things were on the verge of turning physically violent. Security moved in to establish a barrier, but he continued to advance, apparently unconcerned about the consequences of attacking security guards on camera. The physical tension in the air was palpable, as Byron and his team positioned themselves to respond to any attack while trying to avoid escalating the situation further. Ashley watched from behind the security glass with visible fear on her face. The situation was finally handled without anyone getting hurt, but that was only because the security team decided to step in and hold the customer back, making sure to take him out of the store. As he was being led out, he shouted some scary threats, saying he would come back with his friends to cause trouble. These threats were not just words. They were serious, in a neighborhood where people often seek revenge for wrongs done to them. Yet as frightening as individual customer confrontations could be, nothing prepared the Gold family for what came next: the attempted armed robbery. Though the show often referenced the dangers of operating on 8 Mile Road, the reality hit home during an episode where customers attempted to coordinate what appeared to be a robbery. The scheme involved multiple people entering the store at different times, with some creating distractions while others scoped out security measures and exit routes. Staff members noticed the suspicious behavior and alerted Les, who made the decision to have security confront the individuals before anything could happen. When the people trying to rob the store were confronted, they acted in different ways. Some pretended to be innocent, while others got angry and made threats. Security cameras recorded everything as Byron and his team helped to remove them from the store while Les called the police. Everyone felt very tense as the staff and customers realized they were near people who were planning to do something very dangerous. This situation made everyone understand that American Jewelry and Loan was not just dealing with unhappy customers, but with real criminals. The aftermath included a complete security review and installation of additional protective measures throughout the store. Les seriously considered whether continuing to operate in such a dangerous location was worth risking the lives of his family and employees. For viewers who had seen the show as entertaining drama, the attempted robbery served as a stark reminder that the violence wasn't just manufactured for television. But even the threat of armed robbery couldn't prepare anyone for the single most violent confrontation in the show's history: Seth's physical altercation with the roid-raging customer. The most violent moment in hardcore pawn history occurred during Season 4 when Seth found himself face-to-face with a customer described as a roid-raging meathead who threatened Les directly. The customer was physically imposing, clearly under the influence of some substance that made him aggressive and unpredictable, and he was making increasingly violent threats against Les over a deal that had fallen through. Seth, who typically avoided physical confrontations, made a split-second decision that shocked everyone. He stepped between the threatening customer and his father and challenged the man directly. What followed was the closest the show ever came to capturing an actual physical fight on camera. The customer accepted Seth's challenge and moved toward him aggressively, clearly intending to make good on his threats. Security personnel rushed to intervene, but not before Seth and the customer engaged in a brief physical altercation that included pushing, shoving, and attempts at throwing punches. Staff members screamed in fear and shock as the confrontation unfolded, and Ashley later admitted she had been terrified she was about to watch her brother get seriously injured. Byron and the security team managed to separate the two men before serious injuries occurred, but the violence had escalated beyond anything the show had previously captured. The roid-raging customer continued to struggle against security as he was being removed, and his final threats included specific promises about what he would do to Seth if he ever caught him outside the protection of the store. The episode aired with additional warnings about graphic content. The incident fundamentally changed Seth's role in the business and his relationship with his father. Les was simultaneously proud of Seth for defending him and furious that his son had put himself in danger unnecessarily. The family held emotional discussions about whether any business was worth the risk of physical harm, and Seth struggled with the realization of how easily the situation could have ended in tragedy. Which episode shocked you the most? Do you think the show went too far? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.